Hello, dear listeners. Welcome back to another episode of the English Learning Podcast. I'm Amelia, and as usual, I'm really excited to be here with you today.
And I'm Liam. We're thrilled to have you join us for our 22nd episode. Today, we're diving into a topic that's perfect for all of you who love learning on the go: how to learn English with podcasts.
That's right. Whether you're commuting, working out, or just relaxing at home, podcasts are a fantastic way to improve your English skills. In today's episode, we'll explore how you can make the most out of this incredible resource.
We'll be sharing tips on choosing the right podcasts, strategies for active listening, and even how to incorporate podcasts into your daily routine. We've got some fun real-life dialogues and key vocabulary words lined up, so stay tuned.
Before we get started, we want to remind you that if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do subscribe and ring the bell notification to get every update from us. And if you enjoy today's episode, don't forget to leave us a review.
All right, let's get into it.
So Liam, let's start by talking about why podcasts are such an amazing tool for learning English. What do you think makes them so effective?
Well, Amelia, I think the biggest advantage of podcasts is their accessibility. You can listen to them anywhere, anytime, whether you're on a morning jog, commuting to work, or even doing household chores. This flexibility allows learners to immerse themselves in English without needing to set aside dedicated study time.
Absolutely. And another thing I love about podcasts is the variety of content available. Whether you're interested in everyday conversation, specific grammar lessons, or even storytelling, there's a podcast out there to match your interests and language level.
Exactly. That variety means you can tailor your listening to your personal goals. For example, if you're working on improving your listening skills and pronunciation, you might choose a podcast where the host speaks slowly and clearly. On the other hand, if you're ready for a challenge, you can find podcasts with natural and fast-paced dialogue.
Right. And speaking of natural dialogue, one of the biggest benefits of podcasts is that they expose you to real-life English. Unlike textbook audio, which is often scripted and artificial, podcasts feature authentic conversations, which helps you get used to the way people actually speak in different contexts.
And that brings us to one of the most important tips: choosing the right podcast. It's important to pick podcasts that match your current level and interest. If the podcast is too difficult, you might feel frustrated and give up. But if it's too easy, you won't be challenged enough to improve.
Great point, Liam. And once you've found the right podcast, how can you make sure you're learning effectively from it?
I think the key is active listening. Instead of just letting the podcast play in the background, try to engage with it. For example, you can pause the podcast to repeat new words or phrases, or even take notes on interesting expressions you hear. Some learners find it helpful to listen to the same episode multiple times, first for general understanding and then to focus on specific details.
That's such good advice. Another strategy is to use podcasts as part of a larger learning routine. For example, if you're learning about a specific topic in class, you can find a podcast episode on the same subject to reinforce what you've learned. Or you can use podcasts to review vocabulary or grammar concepts you're working on.
And don't forget about the social aspect of learning. You can join online communities or discussion groups where people share their favorite podcasts and talk about what they've learned. It's a great way to stay motivated and get different perspectives.
Definitely. And if you're really committed, you might even try creating your own podcast. Recording yourself speaking English, whether it's sharing your thoughts on a topic or discussing a book or movie, can be an excellent way to practice.
That's a fantastic idea. Recording yourself helps you focus on pronunciation, structure, and fluency. It also gives you something tangible to look back on and see how much you've improved over time.
Exactly. So, to summarize, podcasts are an incredibly effective tool for learning English. By choosing the right content, practicing active listening and integrating podcasts into your daily routine, you can make significant progress in your language skills.
And remember, consistency is key. The more you listen, the more comfortable you'll become with the language. So find podcasts that you enjoy and make them a regular part of your learning journey.
Well said, Liam. All right, we hope these tips will help our listeners make the most out of learning English with podcasts. All right, let's dive into our real-life dialogue segment. In this conversation, we'll show how two friends, Sophie and Lucas, discuss how Sophie has been using podcasts to improve her English. Let's listen in.
Hey, Lucas. It's been a while. How have you been?
Hi, Sophie. I've been good, thanks. What about you? You seem to be in a great mood today.
I am. You know, I've been really getting into learning English lately, and it's been so much fun.
That's awesome. What have you been doing to improve your English?
Well, I've started listening to English podcasts. It's been a game changer for me. I listen to them every morning during my walk, and it's like I'm learning without even trying.
Really? That sounds interesting. Which podcasts are you listening to?
Most of the time I listen to the English Learning Podcast by English Finders, where they talk about how to improve English skills and much more. The hosts Amelia and Liam speak clearly, and they explain new vocabulary, which helps me a lot to learn new words and phrases.
That's a great idea. Do you just listen, or do you do anything else to help with your learning?
I try to be an active listener. Sometimes I pause the podcast to repeat new words or phrases out loud. I also take notes on things I find interesting or difficult. Later, I review those notes, especially the new vocabulary, and try to use it in my own sentences.
That's smart. Do you find that it's helping with your speaking skills too?
Definitely. The more I listen, the more comfortable I feel with the language. I've even noticed that I'm starting to think in English sometimes. And since I'm hearing how native speakers pronounce words and use different expressions, my pronunciation and fluency have improved too.
That's really inspiring, Sophie. I've been thinking about improving my English too, but I wasn't sure where to start. Do you think podcasts would work for me?
Absolutely, Lucas. You can start with something simple and gradually move on to more advanced content as you get comfortable. And the best part is you can listen to podcasts on the go, so it's easy to fit them into your daily routine.
I think I'll give it a try. Do you have any tips for someone just starting out?
Sure. Start with podcasts that match your current level and interests. Don't be afraid to replay episodes if you don't understand everything the first time. And try to listen regularly. Even just 15 minutes a day can make a big difference.
Thanks, Sophie. I'm excited to start learning with podcasts now. Maybe we can compare notes next time we meet.
That sounds like a plan, Lucas. I'd love to hear how it's going for you.
Wasn't that a great example of how you can use podcasts to improve your English? Sophie and Lucas's conversation shows how practical and effective this method can be. Whether you're just starting or looking to take your English to the next level, podcasts can be a valuable part of your learning toolkit.
Exactly. It's all about finding what works best for you and making it a regular part of your life. And remember, it's okay to start small and build your way up. The important thing is to stay consistent and enjoy the process.
Now it's time for our vocabulary segment, where we highlight some key words and phrases from today's discussion. These are terms you can start using right away to enhance your English learning experience. Let's get started.
First up, we have the word accessibility.
Accessibility refers to how easily something can be reached or used. In our conversation, we talked about the accessibility of podcasts, meaning you can listen to them anytime and anywhere. Here's an example sentence. The accessibility of podcasts makes them a great tool for learning English on the go.
Next, we have active listening.
Active listening is a key strategy when learning from podcasts. It means fully concentrating, understanding, and responding to what you hear. Instead of just hearing the words, you're engaging with the content. For example, to get the most out of your English podcasts, practice active listening by taking notes and repeating new vocabulary.
Our third phrase is tailor your listening.
To tailor your listening means to adjust or customize what you're listening to in order to meet your specific needs or goals. For instance, you might choose podcasts that match your English level or focus on topics that interest you. An example sentence could be, you can tailor your listening by choosing podcasts that align with your language learning goals.
Now, let's look at the term authentic conversations.
Authentic conversations are real, natural dialogues between people, as opposed to scripted or artificial ones. Podcasts often feature authentic conversations, which can help you learn how English is spoken in everyday life. Here's an example. Listening to authentic conversations in podcasts helps learners understand how English is used in real-world situations.
And finally, we have repetition.
Repetition is the act of doing something over and over again. In language learning, repetition is important because it helps reinforce new vocabulary and concepts. For example, repetition is key to mastering new vocabulary, so try listening to the same podcast episode multiple times.
That's a great set of words to add to your vocabulary toolkit. Remember, using these words and phrases in your own sentences is a fantastic way to practice and retain them.
Absolutely. And if you come across any other interesting words while listening to podcasts, don't hesitate to look them up and try using them in your conversations. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. We hope you found our discussion on how to learn English with podcasts helpful and inspiring.
Podcasts are such an adaptable tool for language learning, and we're confident that with the tips we've shared, you can start making real progress in your English skills.
Remember, the key is to choose the right podcasts, practice active listening, and be consistent. Whether you're just starting out or looking to refine your skills, podcasts can be a powerful addition to your learning routine.
We also talked about some great vocabulary today, like accessibility, active listening, and authentic conversations. Be sure to incorporate these words into your own practice, and don't hesitate to revisit this episode if you need a refresher.
Exactly. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. If you enjoyed today's discussion, we'd really appreciate it if you could leave us a review. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more learners like you.
Also, feel free to share this episode with friends or fellow learners who might benefit from it. Learning together can make the journey even more enjoyable.
Thanks again for joining us today. Keep practicing, keep listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Take care, everyone. Until next time, happy learning!